Hi guys, in this video we are painting this gnome trio. Get your canvas out, laid out where you want it. Make sure it didn't just get crooked, we're good. I've got my paint on my plate. I have 5 colors: green, red, white, brown, and black. You're gonna need a towel, paper towel, dry your brushes off, of course some brushes. I have this small one and this smaller one. Depending on the size of canvas you purchased, you may need a bigger one. And I have just a vessel for my water to clean my brushes out. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna do the entire background, and we're going to mix just a little bit of our brown in with quite a bit of white. We're just gonna tint the white slightly. So just a little bit of brown stirred in there, and then just go ahead and paint around. I could go a little bit more on the brown. There we go. And you see it's kind of a loose mix. I didn't make it like one solid color. That's perfectly fine. That way I get a little variation on the canvas so it's not just flat. And just take your time going around your gnomes. This will dry slightly darker. Acrylic paint does that. If you get a little sloppy, that's fine. The other colors that we're going to be putting on, the gnomes, the hats, and the bodies and things, they will cover this light color. So don't stress. Go ahead and just get right in there. If you're sloppy, whatever. Make sure you're getting your canvas completely covered. You don't have bits of white still showing. And any gobs of paint, make sure you get smoothed out nice and even and flat. You don't want chunky paint. My canvas size is the small one. It's 8 by 10. All right, I think I got everywhere. So with my dirty brush, I'm just gonna add a little bit more brown over into a little bit of the color that I just mixed to make it, significantly darker. And then I'm just gonna come up and under my gnomes, kind of create little shadow areas. I'm just kind of loosely just sketching in the darker color. I'm gonna go all the way to the bottom, maybe even a little darker. I'm just gonna take just some straight brown. This color is not very strong. It gets in with white and really mutes. But something like that, just so that it's a little bit darker at the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead now and clean out my brush, dry it off on my towel, and I'm gonna start painting my gnome's little shirts. So this one is red and this one is red. Nice clean dry brush. And it's probably gonna take 2 coats because a lot of times it will look pink on the white canvas. Be careful around his nose. Oh, that's a color I forgot to give us. I'm gonna have, well, I'll make sure that you have it now that I know what I'm doing. We're gonna need the color for the nose. I'm gonna put that on my plate. No worries, I can get it. So just nice, thin, smooth coat of paint to start. Don't worry that it does look a little pink. When it's dry, go back and do another coat and it'll fill right in and look red. So I have that one. Come do this one. And I'm also gonna paint that one's hat. Just red. Now I'm just gonna give those a minute to dry. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and paint this guy green. So I'm gonna clean out my brush. You know what, first I'm gonna paint that hat white. It needs a base coat of white. It does get stripes, but I wanna get a nice base coat on there first so it doesn't have raw canvas showing when I do the white stripes or the other color stripes. And then ideally we would leave a space for the white stripes. So just a quick coat of white paint. Make sure you get all that red out of your brush. Otherwise you will have a pink hat. Okay, now I will move on and do the green. So the hat and the little shirt on this middle gnome, both green. I'm just gonna use the plain green. Not gonna mix anything. Again, this is gonna need a second coat at least, maybe even 3. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably only do 2 for the video, but if you would like another coat on top of it as well, feel free. The beauty of the video is you have all the time in the world. You can pause me, go back later if you need to. You don't even have to finish your painting in one sitting if you don't want. I do recommend that you do though, because I know myself, and I know a lot of people are like me as well. If I don't finish it while I sit down to do it the first time, odds are good I'm not going back to it later. It'll just sit undone forever. Don't know why I'm being so careful. That edge is gonna be green too. It does help if you paint it separate though, because then the stroke of your brush creates the line, so then you can kind of keep the hat and the body separate. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go back in and do a second coat of red, and that should finish the red up on those. And then we can work on the striped hat. And that's just gonna be red, white, and green alternating stripes. Pretty simple. But before I get ahead of myself, let me just come in and do another coat of red. And takes out all my pink. Much better. The second coat goes a lot quicker because you just kind of go in and spot paint where it really needs it. And Clean out my brush. I'm gonna blow dry my green just to make sure it's nice and dry before I go in on a second coat. You can also use a blow dryer, but you can just let it air dry also. Good enough. And just a little more green. Yeah, the green doesn't cover that nicely. Probably a third coat would be best, but for the sake of the video and keeping it shortish, I'm just gonna do the second coat and call it good. Now this hat actually gets polka dots on it too, so that's gonna help fill in, or at least make it less noticeable that it's a little bit streaky with brush strokes. All right, now I'm going to do the hat with the stripies. I use my smaller of the two brushes, and then that way I can just make the stripes kind of be the width of my brush. So depending on how big your canvas is, it is easiest to do stripes if you just have a brush that is the width that you want to do the stripes. And odds are good that my stripes will get a little wider than my brush width. No big deal. I'm gonna start, let's see, I'm gonna start with a little red. My first stripe. It's gonna just be right here. Yeah, let's make it a little wide. Let's make this whole piece here. And then it'll be a white stripe that I'll skip. You know, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep with my red, and I'll just keep double width so that I have room to put the green one in. And then of course I'll just leave a space for the white. So I'm gonna imagine that a white stripe will be there, a green stripe will be there, and then I can go in and do another red stripe. And you don't have to do stripes, or if you could change up the color, the pattern rather. You could do just red and white, you could do just green and white. Again, I'm gonna leave space for two. Try to keep it about the same. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. As I go taller or higher up on my hat, I'm going to be probably making my stripes a little bit thinner. We'll see how it goes. Bear with me. It's the first time I've painted this, so I'm just going at it, learning as I go. I'm gonna touch these up a little so that they don't look pink. And I'll just make the very last one red. Yours might have different spacing, so it doesn't matter if your last one is red or not. Now I can go in and do my green ones. So I'm gonna skip a little space so I have a white stripe. Basically, as I go up, they'll just snug right up against the underside of all my red stripes. Second coat. Not that it really helps a whole lot. And that one is done. Now I'm going to paint white polka dots on the hat of the green one. I use my smaller of my two brushes that I have. It's about that size. And I'm going to put fairly small polka dots on him. Maybe one, we'll start kind of off to the side here. Kind of off the edge. Oh, it looks like eyes. That's okay. And those probably will need a second coat. I'm just kind of spreading out any globs that I have. And while that's kind of drying a little, I'll go ahead and put white on the hat of Santa's ball here, the Santa Gnome. And I'm just using my small brush because that's what was in my hand and already has white paint on it. Gonna get the brim of the hat. And I'm gonna add a little shadow to that. Tiny bit of black and with a little bit of white. So light gray. And just lightly brush a little on the bottom part of the brim. If you get too much, you can always just take a little bit of white and spread it out. And I'm gonna add a little bit to the ball on the right-hand side. And I'm gonna kind of fade it a little by just taking, just so it blends in a little nicer. It's a little smoother transition. Just gonna take just some white. Oops, I gotta get some water on my brush. I don't want that dripping onto my canvas. So I'm just gonna lightly brush on the edge just to soften it a little. There. Clean out my brush. Well, I guess I have white on it, but that's okay. A little bit more white. Just gonna clean up these polka dots a little so they're nice and white. There we have our polka dots. And if you need to clean up any of the white stripes, go right ahead. Let's see, I guess we have boots. Let's do our boots. They're just black. Probably gonna need to flip my canvas, but I'm gonna try. This lip gets in my way and it's hard. I'm stuck. It's hard to get my hand in there. And it does come just underneath the shirt a little, and then comes back out. Yeah, I'm just gonna flip it, make my life easier. Oops, I put my hand in wet white, smudged it. And there's their little boots. I'm gonna touch up where I smudged that white. I'm gonna put a little green on it. So it's a little less noticeable. There, all better. Next we have beards. I'm gonna use my bigger brush, get it good and clean, dry it off, and then I'm gonna put in crazy white hairy beards. Just a little white paint on my brush. And I'm gonna get right up in here next to the nose. And I'm just gonna be brushing downward. kind of using the side of my brush so I get a thinner line. Trying not to get globbies, but it's not working the best. Then as you work your way down, change your angle slightly so that while you're in the middle, your brush is going up and down. And those can be a little longer. I'm gonna get right up under the nose. It's okay if you get white on the nose. It'll cover when we paint it the peachy color. So something about like that, just so that you've got uneven edges so that it looks fluffy. And they could be a little longer, whatever you decide. Just kind of filling in. And I'm just gonna repeat that process for all three. This one has a hat that kind of swoops down here. Make sure you get right up tight to the nose so you don't have green under the nose. Same with the red. Get right up next to the nose so there's no gap. And when they're dry, you can go back in and get a little better coverage, a little more, another layer, need be. Let that dry a minute. How about I blow it dry a minute? Give it another bit of white. Because I can see the red and the green coming through, and I'm gonna hide that as much as I can. I'm not gonna worry about it being absolutely perfect. And we're gonna put some gray on that will help as well. I just wanna get the majority of the color beneath blocked out. There, that's a lot better. Now I'm gonna add a little gray. I'm gonna use my smaller brush. I have a little gray on my plate right here already from when I put the shadow in. I'm gonna make it just a little bit darker, a little bit more black. And I'm gonna just put in some gray ones. And then a little bit darker yet, more black in there. And just a few of the darker ones. There. We're gonna do the noses. I gotta go get a little bit of my other color. What's this? It's called Venetian red. It's like a burnt orange color. You will have that already. And I just need the tiniest little blob. That's a million times more than what I need. I'm gonna mix up my color using my bigger brush. Might as well use my small one, I guess. Those noses aren't that big. So I'm gonna take just a nice pile of white over to the side and just add a little bit of this color right in. So it's this nice fleshy tone. So something about like that. Maybe a little bit darker. And then just go in and paint your little noses. There's that. I'm going to take just a plain orange on my dirty brush, which already had some of the light orange in it. Just so that it's a little bit lighter, but darker than this. Lighter than this, darker than this. I'm just going to put a little swoop on the underside. Give it a little bit of a shadow. Now that one seems a little funky, a little thick maybe. And the easy fix, just take a little bit of the original nose color that you made. You can just thin out your line. Go right on top. If you want to thin out that one, the other ones, whatever. Got too much on my brush. There. And I got a little bit of highlighting to do maybe. I hate to outline everything, but maybe it would help clean up some of the edges. I'm gonna take a little bit of black and just define this bit of the hat that comes around the bottom of his, so you could kind of differentiate between the hat and this shirt. I am gonna sketch in a little bit of an outline on this one. It's because the edges where the stripes are get a little funky, so I'm just gonna do just like very sketchy, imperfect, quick little outline. On all of them. Down my bodies just a little. There. I like that better. Oops, I didn't do his little body. And some highlights, just a little bit of white. Let's put a little dab on the shoes and maybe across the nose, and we should be all set. Just a little bit of white. Let's do a swoop on the nose. And a little swoop on the shoes. Yeah, we're good. I think that's good. Don't want to add any to the hat, especially because that one has polka dots. If I put little streaks in there, it'll get weird, I think. So I think that we're good. I think that that completes this painting. I'm just stepping back to give it a quick look over. I think it turned out super cute. Hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, I didn't sign my name. Sign my name. With a little bit of brown. Let's squeeze it in down here, shall we? That's kind of a smoosh. That's okay. Right? Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.